I'm in this like really delicious energy of, I don't know, everything just feels good. Like energetically, you know what I mean? And it's just more of flow. And that's why it's important to remember what I like to say is don't make any decisions in the muck. Meaning if you're having a day where it's just like a day, it's just a day or two or a week, whatever. Just remember that nothing is permanent. It's actually what my tattoo says. I got this tattoo because I thought that was funny. It's a tattoo on your body and it says nothing is permanent. And to me, that was like a reminder of this tattoo might be permanent on my body, but even my body isn't permanent. Like even this life itself is not permanent. Like sometimes we just wake up in a funk, or we let things kind of bring us down. Things, habits, mental habits mostly, like old ways of thinking. I love how Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about you have to retrain your thoughts, and in order to do that, you have to think about what you've been thinking about. Self-awareness. Because once you can be aware of what your thoughts have been, those thought patterns are what have created your reality thus far. And if you want to change any part of your life or your reality, life as you know it now, then you have to change the ways that you continuously, habitually think about that area of your life. Because our thoughts don't just stay in our head. They create like an electrical radiation, like they radiate out beyond us, and you know, that like ripples out. This is a very scientific explanation, stay with me. And somehow, some way that begins to create, because our thought patterns inform our habits that we practice every single day, our decisions that we make, and the identity that we live from. And as it turns out, we cannot rise above anything higher than what we believe our identity to be. And most of those beliefs about our identity are subconscious. A lot of them are pre-language, so they're pre-memory from when we were infants. And a lot of them are pre our existence because they're from the cellular structure of our DNA, which comes from our lineage and our ancestors that came before us, our parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. And so if you're having a rough day, just know that it's probably not your fault. You know, you probably contributed to it, but it's not all your fault. But we'll take a breath there. It's not all your fault. And this is your life. And while it's not completely your fault, it is your responsibility, because this is your life and you need to own it. You need to own the decisions that you make and how you decide you want to show up in spite of all the things inside of you that try to keep you down. So you have to identify what you actually believe about yourself if you want to change it. And the way that you know you want to change what you believe about yourself is if you have any area of your life where you want to elevate it. You want to rise higher. It could be work, it could be relationships, it could be your financial status, it could be goals, career, it could be dreams that you want to do, it could be the way that you show up as a parent, as a friend, as a sibling, as a daughter, as a son. Whatever you're doing, it could be like you want to become this great thing in your craft whether you're an athlete or a creative or a scientist or in education, whatever it is, there is an internal dialogue going on, not just in your head, but in your body, because your subconscious is what rules your body. And those visceral sensations and constrictions or expansiveness that happen in your body are a result of your underlying beliefs about yourself and about the world and about safety in relation to you. So what we need to do in order to figure out, one, what beliefs about our identity or about life itself and our relationship to life and to this world, what beliefs do we have? Which ones are serving us and which ones do we need to outgrow in order to move to the next level that we desire to exist in? And how do we do that? How do we do that? Well, you get to choose what medium you want to use. You can go in and do like a guided meditation or just a meditation in your own mind. You can journal through it. You can dance and move and see what comes up as you move your body. You can go to the gym and work out with the intention of, hey, body, I'm looking to understand what belief systems I'm functioning from. Would you reveal these to me? Would you reveal the ones that are serving me and the ones that are not serving me to where I want to go? And if it were me, I would write those down. Put them in your phone, write them in a journal. Try to remember them. and track a list. You could do this over a few days, weeks, whatever it is, months. Keep a whole journal just for that. And as they come up in your life, I feel like those are individual invitations for us to go back and sit with them. And it doesn't have to be a violent confrontation. It could be a compassionate witnessing of, damn, that's right. When I was a little kid, this happened. And it made me feel like I was all alone. It made me feel like I couldn't depend on anybody. It made me feel like I had to be the one to show up for everyone around me. Otherwise, everything would fall apart. You know? And it's like, actually, what happened in that moment is that I was given a role that was not mine to take from the adults in my life. And I was placed how do I say this? There was a pressure on me in the dynamic of our family to be the funny one, or to be the one that helps out, or to be the one that takes the burden, or to, you know, whatever it is. These are just examples. And so I took that on as part of my identity, and now I people please through life, and now I sacrifice myself, or I become the martyr, and now I'm the last person to take care of me because I'm busy taking care of everyone else, and now I take on the whole world's burdens and weights, you know. And it's like you go back to that moment in time, to that memory, that experience, like in a visualization in your mind, and in stillness, or it could even be in movement. Some people meditate through movement, and that's okay. It's great even, you know, because you're moving the energy at the same time. But you go back and you collect yourself. You first enter in with compassion and understanding and slowness, because more than likely that little version of you is sitting there kind of scared and probably feeling abandoned by everyone around them. And what happens when we get disrupted in our youth and those experiences is a lot of times that version of us in that area of life will freeze there and remain stuck. And it could be something that traumatized us if the energy got stuck in our body because we constricted against it. And it's like there's always this like fear and constriction against that thing whenever it comes up again in life, and we get re-triggered until we go back and unpack that and allow the energy to flow through and release. And this is one way to do it. And you can go back to that point in time, that little version of you, and sit with them and just listen. And in your heart or in your mind or however you communicate, say, that wasn't fair. That burden was never yours to carry. You were just a kid. And I'm sorry that happened to you. And I love you. And now I'm here for you. And I got you. I got you. And I'm not going to let that happen anymore. We're going to carry what's ours to carry, and the rest, we're going to let people carry their own weight. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's just an example. And you just kind of sit there as long as it takes, like you would any child that's struggling, that needs your help, with grace and compassion. And you hold them, you let them cry, you let them release the grief. Those tears a lot of times will come up through you. And you kind of like merge back together, like your little self merges into you. And when you come up out of that experience, you're a little bit more whole. You've integrated that piece of you that was stuck there, and you've kind of moved on without that up until this point. And that's sacred. That's holy. And that is one way that we can alchemize the wounds of our past in order to identify parts of our identity that we've been living from that aren't true. Because anything that is living within us that is not true, that is a lie, especially about our identity, will hold us down. And so now you're a little bit more free, and now you can rise above the pressure to move in a way where you're considering other people above yourself, and you're sacrificing your self-respect, you're sacrificing your own well-being, you're sacrificing your own needs in order to acquiesce and serve the people around you before yourself. Because we all know that there's nothing to give if we are pouring from an empty cup. We've all heard this, and it's true. And there's probably, unfortunately, hundreds of examples like these that we're all living with every day. And it's not like you don't go back and do them all at once. You move through life. And sometimes you have days where it's like meh. And sometimes you have days where you feel like you're on top of the world. And it's beautiful. And I fully live into really any experience of the day, but obviously really enjoy the highs. And it's like, I'm going to savor this, because I know it's not like they're few and far between, but it's like, I don't know how long this is going to last, and I'm going to ride the wave of this energy. And if there's motivation, if there's inspiration, if there's activation, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to play with my kids when I feel this really high wave. You know what I mean? And when there's days when there's lows, you sit with yourself and you're gentle, and you move as slow as you need to for yourself. Move your body if that's what you need to move the energy out. Create endorphins to make a little bit of happy juice in your body. It takes work. It takes courage. It takes courage to sit with yourself and confront these moments. And it takes an ownership of your own life and saying, I'm going to take responsibility for the ways that I show up, even if the ways that I show up are not my fault and I'm not to blame, but it is my responsibility to show up in the way that I want to show up in my life and the person who I choose to be, even though these were my experiences that informed my identity up to this point. That takes courage, that takes strength, that takes vulnerability, that takes humanity, and it takes work. It's not easy, but it is worth it. And it is where your liberation lies, on the other side of those experiences. And little by little, you can free yourself from the lies that have been stapled onto your identity, because they were never yours to carry. And unfortunately, even though it wasn't your fault, nobody else is going to do it but you. And at some point in our lives, we get to the point to where we're tired. We're tired of the same old shit. We're tired of living our lives as a victim to these things that were not our fault. And we rise up to the occasion of what it requires for us to undo the lies and live in the freedom of our true identity of who we were created to be. And some of us have so much to go back and undo. But it's a sacred journey, and you don't have to do it all to feel whole again. Little by little, you shed the layers of that. And as it's happening, you're becoming more of yourself, and you kind of get this like momentum in your life. And it creates more openness and capacity to keep going and keep doing the work, to the point to where like full liberation and nothing else will do. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, I've been robbed. I've been robbed of so much joy and freedom and existing in my truest identity, which is wonderful, might I add. Like, it's fucking delightful here. And for years, I've been existing in all these ways that just, you know, have really kind of diminished my light and my truest identity. And that's okay. I've learned a lot of lessons that way. I think I actually signed up for those experiences, those hard experiences, to learn those lessons, to then become this version of myself. I wouldn't be the woman I am today without those experiences. Nothing is wasted. Every moment of it mattered and is sacred. And it all works together for my good. Yeah. Maybe that helps somebody. So just be gentle with yourself. Take it day by day. It might seem like a big daunting task to do all this work and figure it out and whatever, but like, I think there should be a really big emphasis during this process that it's a part of life, that it's interwoven in our lives still, and we don't wait to be healed to be able to live our lives. We live our lives fully immersed in the experience, and this is a part of our experience, as were the experiences that built up to these points. And I think the key, at least for me at this point, I've found that the key for me is to be present. And even if it's not an enjoyable experience, even if it's like grief or it doesn't feel good, or I'm trying to overcome my own patterns of like showing up in a way where like I've lost my shit again. You know what I mean? I've yelled at my kids again in a way that I don't want to. Or, I reacted this way in this relationship where I'm like, damn, I said I wouldn't do that again. Or I'm in a relationship with somebody, regardless of the dynamic, where I've abandoned myself, whether big or small, again. And I'm like, okay. Grace and compassion and courage to have the hard conversations with people, even if it's uncomfortable for you or uncomfortable for them or inconvenient. Yeah. Anyways, have a good day.